3, 2, 1. Okay, and welcome back to a new video by the Devscorch platform. My name is Johan and I will be your host in this video. Okay, so we started building the Devscorch Academy API. The whole idea about it is that I build it in public, so you guys can actually see how I build it. You can actually hear about my choices and why I do stuff and why I don't do stuff. And if you actually want to code with me, you can actually do this because most of the code is going to be open source. So yeah, if you want to learn Vapor, just do what I do and I will explain everything on the way. Okay, so in the last video we actually built the course model and the guide model. And in this video we're actually going to build the article model. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're actually going to go to models. We're going to do a new file. We're going to call this the article model. In there, import Vapor. Fluent. We're gonna do final class. Article model. It's gonna be a model. Open this one up. Also gonna give this an extension. Article model of content. That we can actually retrieve the content. Now we go to FieldKeys. We're gonna create a new file. We're gonna call this article model FieldKeys. There, import Fluent, import Vapor. Then we're going to create an extension of the article model. We're going to call a struct FieldKeys. Okay, so the first one is going to be title. Title is going to be a field key. Going to return title. Static var slug. Going to be field key. Static var excerpt. So I'm not really sure where we're going to add an excerpt, but it was actually something that was recommended to me when I was researching the idea of building our new API. So then we're going to have the article, but instead of article, we're actually going to call it the content. The reason why we're going to call it content, it's more descriptive. So we actually have we actually understand what it does. Content. Like for a guide. So the guide is actually, we're actually going to reuse this model. So what we can actually do, we can actually say like, okay, so the article model is part of a guide, but we can also say the article model is something else. It can be a live stream or maybe like a podcast or maybe just a tutorial, just a blog post, totally depends. Click for image, field key, it's gonna be header image, click var author. So there is still a discussion about the author thing. We actually are adding it as a string, but we could also do it as a UUID. But if we add it as a UUID, we actually have to query like database again to search for the user. So maybe just a normal string is okay. So then we're going to do the status. So as you know, the status is if it is published, draft, something else. And after that we're going to do the price. So the price, the whole idea about the price is actually that if somebody paid, they can actually see the pro stuff, and if the users are actually not paying and they just register, they can actually watch like the free stuff, right? So static var, we're going to add a role. So the whole idea about the role is actually that we give the content a certain role. So that can be like, for example, like a podcast. It can be just an update. It can also be like a live stream, for example. Maybe a YouTube video. Static var. Created at e. Created at. Static var. Updated at. Will be field key. Then last but not least, oh, no, not last but not least, we actually have the publish date. Key. And we have last but not least, date. Last but not least, static var tags. So as I said before, the whole idea about the tags is actually just a little bit extra SEO. So like when Google is actually indexing your article or your website, it is actually also able to search content, right? So if you use tags with like iOS, Xcode, tvOS, AppleOS, it doesn't matter what, there's a possibility that it actually gets indexed. And later we can actually give the tags, we can also give them like functionality. So that actually means that when we click on a tag, we can actually retrieve all the articles about tags, or about that certain tag. So that's actually something for the future as well. So here, article model, we'll go back there. Then we're going to do a static let schema equal to schema enum dot articles dot raw value at ID, or ID is going to be UUID. This. So we're actually going to do here the same. So we're actually going to create a lot of optional fields. And this is going to be field dot fill. So there is like one more thing that we actually can talk about, and that's actually the reason why we're actually adding the field keys in a separate file as an extension instead of an extension here in the article model. The whole reason is readability. So I like to work like when I have to change something in the field keys, I actually don't want to search for the model and then go there. I actually just want to go to the field keys. I actually know what to change. Field keys dot slug or slug gonna be string at optional field keys dot excerpt or excerpt is going to be a string. Optional field keys dot content var content string as well. So about content is actually a little discussion because we're actually going to save it, send it as a string, but I actually heard that we can actually save it as data. I've been testing this and this actually doesn't work. So we have to look for another way to look at this, but we will see what happens. Right? It's actually going to be guide model ID value, just like this, at optional field field keys dot image. So the header image will be a URL field keys dot author going to be a string. Optional field keys dot status. So we already created the status enum, so we can actually adopt it here as well. Status enum dot raw value field keys dot price or price. So there's actually one thing we can actually theoretically, oh, otherwise this does not work. So there's like this one discussion here what we can actually do. Instead of putting the price here, we can actually just query the price of the guide. That actually means we can say like, okay, so if the guide is free, then these articles are also free. The problem is, I actually want to apply like free content as well, so that users who don't want to pay or can't pay, they can actually also look at some free content. So let's just add it, and maybe we're going to use it and maybe we are not. Field keys dot created at. So the created at is actually not an optional field. We're actually going to use timestamp for this. And after key, I'm going to call on the dot create var created at will be date, another timestamp. We're going to do field keys dot updated at on dot update or updated at also date. Then we have the publish date at optional field. We have publish. We have field keys. Publish date for publish date. It's going to be a date as well. Then we have tags at field keys dot tags. Our tags going to be an array of string. So what we could also actually do, we could actually create like a model for tags as well. So that actually means that we can actually save the ID here and we can actually retrieve the tags and we can actually say like, hey, this is something that we found, or this is something that we want to do. But I think this is actually the better option. We have to keep it organized a little bit, and we also have to get like, keep it a little bit light. I mean, I don't want to run like 10,000 different queries when a user actually goes to a page, but maybe we're going to change this later. So after that, we're going to do an init. This is going to be an empty init. For that, we're going to create a new init. And this one is going to be the title string. We have the slug string. Then we have the excerpt string. The content string. We have the guide. This is going to be guide model value. And the header image, the URL. We have author string. We have the status. It's going to be status enum dot raw value. And price enum dot raw value. For the role. So the role, this is actually something we forgot to add here. I see on the price optional field keys dot role. Our role is going to be role let's say content role enum dot raw value. So the content role enum doesn't exist yet, so we can actually go to enums, new enum, content row enum, there, enum, this. So we have case, let's say just article, case guest, case blog post, case tutorial, case keys article, podcast, tutorial, live stream. Just like this. So this actually means that if we don't use a guide, right, we can actually say like, okay, I'm gonna add a role. This way we can actually filter this one out. So they give me all the blog posts, give me all the articles, which are not part. Go to content row really quick. Actually have to add string here, otherwise this is not working. This. So this actually means that when it has a content role like the live stream, we can actually filter on that. If somebody goes to the tab live streams, they actually get the user actually gets like a whole list of all the live streams that he has. Okay, it's going to be a content role raw value. We have created at, going to be date, updated at. Be date, publish date, gonna be date. Last but not least, it's gonna be tags. The tags are gonna be an array string. For that we're gonna add them. Self.title is title. Self.tag. Excerpt is same as excerpt. Self.content is equal to content. Self.guide. Self.header image. Header image. Have the author. Status. Self.price. Go to price. Self.role is equal to role. Self.created ad is equal to ad. We have self.updated ad. Updated ad. Self.publish date. Go to publish date. And self.tags is equal to tags. Okay, so this is the first initializer that we're actually gonna add one more. That's the status. So we're gonna do init. This. It's gonna be status enum.raw value. Status. Okay, so the reason why we add this one, the status initializer, this is actually so that when we update this one, the system, you can actually say like, okay, we're actually gonna update the status. This is for the automatic system. So actually, that when the publish system actually says like, okay, it's time to publish, that it actually can adapt the status to published automatically, so that we actually publish the information inside the database, and so that when it's filtered out, it actually gets added to the list of published articles, and that's why we call this one. So then we're gonna call next one. Oh, I'm gonna add a new model, new file. Okay, so the last one is going to be the session model. So the session model, the whole idea about it is actually that every course has like different sessions, and we actually want to like we actually want to add, we can actually also use the article model for this, but it will be easier to just create a session model. Just easier to work with. It's actually just easier as well, because we actually the session, it actually looks a little bit different than an article, because we're actually gonna have some URLs for the content, some videos and stuff like that. So that's why. So if you're wondering, we can actually reuse the article, but we're not gonna do it. So final class, session model. So the session model is gonna be model. Open this one up. That we're gonna extension of session model. Gonna be content. After this one, we're gonna actually create a new field key, new file, and this is gonna be session model field keys, import paper, fluent. We're gonna do an extension of the session model, field keys, and we're gonna add a static var title. It's gonna be a field key title, static var mp4 URL. So the reason why we actually make this an mp4 URL is actually going to be really interesting. Is our sessions have two different URLs. It's going to be the mp4, and it's going to be HLS URL. So what this means locally, or what it actually means, the front end is actually going to use the HLS URL, the website. But the moment when we, the iOS application, when you as a student actually oh, I want to download this because I want to watch on. It actually is going to download the MP4 on the MP4 URL inside the application. So this actually means that when the file actually exists on the device, the iOS app or the iPadOS app actually says like, okay, I'm not going to stream it. We're actually going to take the local MP4 URL. And this just to add like a little bit more flexibility for people who actually watch coding videos on the phone while they're on the train or on the plane or something. Oh, static var created at the field key at static var updated at key. Then we're also going to add the, I think we're going to add a published date. Yeah, so static var publish date, field key. Going to be publish date, static var status, field key, status, static var price, key, and this is going to be price, static var article. So we're also going to add like an article under each session, and this actually just like a little a little extra content, so that the user actually knows like, okay, I watched the video, what did I learn, and they can actually look in the article what they learned in this video. So it's actually going to be really cool. We have course. So the course, that is going to be the course is going to be parent. So in Vapor you can actually add like your own parent relations, parent and siblings. And we're actually not going to do that. We're actually going to do it a little bit differently. The reason why is actually because I don't find the whole parent system in Vapor very flexible. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to add an extra query later, so that we can actually like retrieve all the sessions from a certain course. And maybe a little bit more coding, but for me personally it actually is a little bit more like a little bit more flexible. Oh? Okay, so in here I think it was going to be static let. Oh, it's going to be let. Or static let. Let schema. Okay. String equal to schema enum sessions.raw value. Now I have to check, because I think if we use static let it's actually working. Maybe it does. Yeah, okay, probably will. Okay, so then add ID. Var ID is going to be UUID. Field keys dot for URL. Now you know what? Let's first do the title. Title. And this is going to be string. Field keys dot mp4 URL. Our mp4 URL is going to be URL. This at field keys dot hls URL. For hls URL, also going to be URL field keys dot created at. So created at, as always, it's not going to be optional field, but it's going to be timestamp. Var created at, it's going to be date at timestamp. It's going to be field keys dot updated at dot update. And don't forget, we actually have to add this one on dot create. Var updated at, going to be also a date Then we have the add publish date. Actually going to be field keys dot publish date for publish date. Going to be also a date at field. We have field keys dot status for status. It's going to be status enum dot raw value. Add optional field keys price. For price, it's going to be the price enum dot raw value. Actually make this to also optional, otherwise it's going to be pain. And we have the article field dot article for article, and this is going to be string optional field. And we have field keys dot course for course can be course model dot id value, and optional field keys dot slug for slug string, then the empty init. Put that the second init, title string, then we have mp4 URL. This is going to be URL, HLS URL, this URL, get it at date, and updated. What's going to be date? We have the publish date. This is going to be date. So we can actually, what's actually really cool, we can actually add like functionality that the publish date is going to be the. We have to make it. So we can actually code this in a way later. The publish date is actually the same parent. So we can actually retrieve like the course. We say like, okay, the publish date is going to be the same as the course. But we have to look at the logic, because I'm not really sure yet how we're going to add the logic on how we're actually going to publish. Because I've been testing some stuff around, and maybe we actually need to add like we actually have to create like a new model for that. I'm not sure yet. We're gonna check it out while we are building this API. Article string. The course model dot value. We have slug. Slug is going to be a string. Self dot title is title. Self dot for URL equal to before URL. Self dot hls URL. Self dot hls URL. SURL. Self dot created at is created at. Self dot updated at. Updated at. Self dot publish date. Publish date. Self dot status. Status. Self dot price. Price. Article, self dot course, self dot slug. Okay, so we actually finished our models. That's actually really cool. So there's like one more thing that I've been thinking about. So while we are coding this, was actually we were actually talking about the publish system, right? Theoretically, would actually be better. We actually added like new model, and we actually call this like the publish request. So that actually means that we actually throw in the publish request into a relation with the ID, with the ID of the article or the course or the guide or the session. And then we actually just let the listener function run that one. That way we can actually store it like separately in the database, and we can actually run those. But yeah, we have to look into that. I'm not sure yet. We will see later how we're going to do that. Okay, so we actually finished all the models. We actually finished all the field keys. The next video we're actually going to write the migrations. So that's actually to prepare the database for launch. That's going to be really important, really interesting. And after that we're actually going to look into the protocols we have to write, because I think we're actually going to write most of the protocols which we need. We're actually going to write them beforehand, so that we actually have like the blueprint, and we can actually look into it and see what we have to do. Okay, so this is going to be the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and that you actually learned something. If you have any questions, make sure to hit me up on Discord or hit me up down in the comments below. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I see you next time.